How does that make you feel? Pick the baby up. Now, that was only about 20 seconds. Thanks. Oh, hi, everybody. I'm wearing this sort of baby sick dress just to get into the theme of my talk. That was just about 20 seconds, but I had 2 hours of this on the 3rd of January this year from the neighbours next door. 2 hours with the baby crying. Now, did you feel sad for the baby? Did you feel irritated by the baby? Angry at the parents? You know, how would you feel if you just sat or lay in bed in the middle of the night and had to listen to that crying going on and on and on? My response was Facebook. I opened Facebook up and I said randomly to the world, how can people leave their babies to cry? The baby next door has been crying for 2 hours and I can hear that they haven't even got up to try and look after that baby. I don't know how people can do that. And all my friends and casual acquaintances and other people I've randomly met piled in. All the experts. I had nursery staff. I had people who were sleep experts. I had psychologists. I had people that ran schools, were teachers. I had parents. I had non-parents. And they all gave their bit as experts. And they seemed to range from, at the one hand, oh, poor baby, you know, it's awful just to leave a baby like that. I could never do it. It's just not right. It doesn't go with my philosophy. It doesn't go with my ethos. To, at the other end, it's absolutely fine. Never did my children any harm. Just let them cry. It's okay. They have to learn. They'll learn to sleep. And while I had a baby who kept me up all night, I read every book that I could on the topic. And I discovered really that there are two types of people, broadly, or there are two ends of extremes. And one is the orangutan mother, and the other is the elephant seal mum. So the orangutan looks after their child for 6 or 7 years, showing them exactly what to do, how to build a nest, how to get their food. They carry their baby for 2 years. And if you've seen any videos of orangutans, you'll see that they're constantly holding them, nurturing them, feeding them, loving them. This is the kind of attachment parenting ethos, which is don't put your baby down, keep hold of it. And then at the other extreme, you have the elephant seal. So the elephant seal drops 200 pounds within the first month after having the baby. It's straight back, just like a celeb mum, as if nothing's happened. You know, you just had your baby, get on with your life. Don't let it interfere. You know, drop your babies out, have someone look after them, get fit, get healthy, and don't let anyone know that you have a baby. Don't mention it at work. Don't let it interfere with your life in any way. So the kind of lead proponent of this is Gina Ford. And my sister-in-law, who's a midwife, said to me when I was pregnant, whatever you do, don't use Gina Ford. She's absolutely evil. But then one of my clients happened to be the first employer of Gina Ford when she was a new nanny. And he said she was absolutely wonderful. She was great with the kids. They loved her. She helped with the babies and got everything in order. And she was absolutely fantastic. And, you know, at the attached parenting end, you have people like Peaches Geldof, who sadly died of a heroin overdose like her mother. And when her 2 children came, she had 2 babies under the age of 1. And she was a big proponent of attachment parenting. She would never put the babies down. And it was almost as though she was trying to kind of transcend being a kind of a socialite, someone who drank, used lots of drugs. And she wanted to sort of transcend that by being a mother who was all in every way. You know, it's almost forget yourself. Don't worry about yourself. Just be all there. One of my friends on this Facebook stream that morning wrote, against my prior instinct, I did do some slow, controlled crying. So it was 2 minutes and 3 minutes, and I visited all the time. And as a mother of twins, it was the best thing I ever did. It got my life back. And I said, after somebody else had pitched in, a child expert, saying, it is never a good idea to leave your children to cry. You should never do that. It causes untold damage, even for 1 minute or 2 minutes. And I kind of thought, well, there's my good friend who's done this, and I know what it was like for her. And I said, that was why I gave it a try too. I gave that sort of 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute thing a try because I was exhausted. After a year and a half of my baby not crying, my baby not sleeping, sort of crying all night. I tried this, and also it's because the GP told me, the health visitor told me, all the professionals said you've got to do sort of something like controlled crying. You've got to get your life back. And I didn't really know, is this the right thing to do? Is this best for my baby? What about the attachment parenting people? What about seers and those experts that say you should be completely responsive to your baby and your baby's every need? But then I look at, poor Peaches Geldof, who allowed herself to be completely kind of at the mercy of her children, never putting her 2 babies down and losing perhaps her sense of self, who knows? And then at the other end, it seemed too extreme. And the health visitor said to me, look, we'll crack your son. I've never been beaten yet by a baby. So, I felt a bit uncomfortable about this, but I went with it. She said, it'll only be 3 nights. It'll be much worse for you than it is for the baby. I don't know whether it was much worse for me than for the baby, but it was hell. It was probably the worst thing I've done and probably my biggest regret. He was not cracked after 3 days or 5 days or 6 days or 7 days or 8 or 9 or 10. I mean, by days, I mean nights of going every few minutes to tend to him and increasing that time. And after 21 days, I was a complete wreck and a zombie. And he was sleeping through the night. This is what the detached parents say is the greatest thing. Sleep through the night so you can get on with your life. And actually, it was good. For 3 or 4 months, he slept through the night. And I started to get my sanity back because I had been a wreck and I hadn't been able to function at work or get on with my life. So I did have a baby who slept through the night and I was able to get on with my own life. And then we went away to to Singapore as a family. 8-hour times a difference, and everything kind of went AWOL, and we had to start from scratch again, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. So even now, my child's just turned 4. Even now, he'll sometimes come to me in the middle of the night, and I'll go, should I take him back to bed? Should I just let him get into the bed, sleep? Should I do this? Should I do that? And it's the same with, eating or all the other things, the decisions we make as a parent. Am I doing the right thing? My mum said the most helpful thing during this sleeping hell that I was in with my son. Just trust your instinct. And I thought, what a great bit of advice. But then I thought, what does my instinct say? Does my instinct say, go to your baby every time your baby cries and hold your baby? I have biological urges, prolactin to, that created milk that made my breasts ache, or was it oxytocin, which is sort of bonding hormone? Or do I just sleep? Is that what my instinct's telling me? So that I can get more rest, so I can function and be a good mother? And it turns out that maternal instinct isn't something that's purely biological. It's also kind of sociological. It's what's normal in your environment. What have you been brought up with? Some mothers, have a strong routine, and they'll read stories to their babies every night, and they'll help their baby get to sleep in various ways by maybe rocking or whatever else, or talking to them and have dark environments. And others will, as someone I know very closely, would just let her children go off to bed when it was right for them and sort of let them kind of freewheel and do their own thing and have no routine. And it really depends on what sort of right for you and what works for you in your environment and what else is going on in your life. So there aren't really any answers. And although my mum's words were reassuring, trust your own instinct, what that really means is make it up as you go along. And so that's more or less what I've done. But I just want to show a little video. Actually, while this has come up, I'm going to talk briefly about this. As you can see, this is a trout and Brussels sprouts and my son's fork. He chose this meal. This is his perfect meal. This is when he was 3, a few months ago. And it's got goji berries on it at his request. You couldn't get more healthy than this. And I know other parents who have struggled in the same way I have with their children's eating. You know, they've worried about their children. They've read every little bit of expertise. They've tried to follow the right guidelines. Now, I don't think I have any difference in my approach to how I feed my son, to how I've kind of helped him to develop his palate and choices of food than I have in the sleeping realm. I just think it's how it turned out. He's not a fussy eater, but he's somebody who needs a lot of warmth and cuddles and attention and care at night. And that's what he's like. And every few months or every 6 months, every year, there are new things that we have to deal with as a parent. And there aren't any solutions. And it's hard to trust your instinct. It's hard to know what's right. And sometimes I'll go and consult an expert. And sometimes I'll go, well, what do I really think? And then I'm not really sure, which is why I was consulting the expert in the first place. So this is a raccoon helping its baby to climb a tree. There was an app developed recently, I just heard on the radio, and the app was for parents who weren't quite sure what to do with their children. So what it said was just enter in all the details of the situation, the age of the child, and a few other bits of information, and it spits out some solutions for you. And the solution in this one case was hold your 18-month up in front of the mirror, make funny faces in front of the mirror, and for 5 minutes. Now, has anyone tried keeping an 18-month-old's attention for more than 1 minute? It's not possible. I'm no expert, but when it comes to my son, nor is anybody else. And I'm just doing the best I can, trusting my instinct and bumbling along as I go. Thanks.